Hey, Segovia, back with another one. Make sure you guys watch from start to finish. That helps the channel grow. With that being said, let's get into it.
Have you ever seen the Marfa Lights?
No, I don't know what that is.
Outside of Marfa in West Texas.
Okay.
You're out in the desert, and there's lights that bounce and skitter across the horizon. You know, you hear it, and you go, yeah, right.
UFOs?
And people will be, oh, it's car lights. And it's like, that ain't car lights, man.
Yeah.
There ain't no car in the world that is moving from that side of the horizon to that side of the horizon and bouncing along the way and like swirling. You go there and you can all collectively go, there's one.
We dropped more bombs on Vietnam than we did World War II. We threw everything we had at these little rice farmers with a few AK-47s. And we couldn't beat them, could we?
No, they were dug in. They were entrenched. And they had the will to fight.
What if I told you guys that these three people, a missing general, a missing rocket scientist, and an astrophysicist that is now deceased, are all connected? Let's get into it. First, let's start with General McCaslin, who was in charge of the UFO research lab at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, who is still missing after he went hiking. Now, it's important to note that he left behind his phone and his Apple Watch, which almost seems like he doesn't want to be tracked and or found. He was in charge of the UFO research team at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but this wasn't the only Air Force base he had connection to. He was also the lead commander at Kirkland Air Force Base. Now, does anybody want to take a wild guess who else worked there at the same time? Monica Reza, who is a rocket scientist, but also owns the patent to the super alloy metal, Mondaloy, which changed the game for rockets going into space. Who was, just like McCaslin, also hiking, but now also missing since last year. Are we starting to see a pattern yet? Well, if it didn't, maybe this will seal the deal, because this is Carl Grillmeyer, an astrophysicist, an expert in deep space and exoplanets, and is also now dead. Reports say he was shot and killed on his front porch by a random carjacker who was going through the neighborhood looking for cars, but here's the thing. He lives in the middle of nowhere, so either this carjacker really wanted his car or something else was afoot. Now, Grillmeyer was a lead researcher at IPEC, which is an analysis center founded at Caltech. Now, just 5 minutes down the road, the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, is also managed by Caltech. Now, remember that rocket scientist Monica Reza I just told you about? She was the director at JPL at the same time that Carl worked at IPEC. Yeah, this is part of the movie where we should all be suspicious. Also, it's important to note that JPL and IPAC work hand in hand when it comes to cross research, meetings, the whole nine. I find this all very interesting timing, being that all these people have extensive knowledge when it comes to exoplanets, space travel, UFOs, and then the government did this. They just booked the domain aliens.gov, so I'm assuming they're gonna do a UFO file dump, giving us disclosure, but the question is, what did all these people know about this? So I had to dig deeper into this, so I got one of the top remote viewers in the world, Elizabeth April, and you guys won't believe what she found. So that's on my YouTube. Make sure you check that out, and let me know what you guys think below.
Nick Shirley, like this, how does he get all these info? How does he manage to just expose billions of dollars of fraud?
Yeah.
He did it in Minneapolis and he's doing it in California. And instead of Newsom's reaction to be like, hey, let's dig further. I'm the governor here. Let's expose everybody and let's fix it and find a solution. But your reaction is to try to cancel him and try to minimize
what he's doing.
his efforts. I don't know. That's kind of suspicious, which we already know. Tricky Newsom and his shenanigans. So it's like, it just makes you wonder, like, what's really going on?
Yeah.
I mean, something tells me that he's getting insight from Newsom's competitor, right? And Newsom knows that, right? He knows that. He knows that. He knows that his buddy over here is pulling some shenanigans. So that's why he's like, not digging further. We need to cancel him, right? That's what I think, y'all. I think they're all doing it. They're all doing fraud. Why are they all millionaires? Oh, the Democrats are the only ones that go in 100,000 salary and leave multimillionaires. The Democrats don't. No, they're all doing it. They're all doing it.
It's like, how could this kid come and expose everybody?
A woman alleges that an entity came out of CERN's collider.
There's a portal for the LHC. There's a door, a round door, you know, like in the Stargate. So in front of the door, they have a room They probably have many doors, but they have a room and they sit around the table. And I said, so yeah, what happened? He said, well, an entity came from this portal, and like it sat at the table. I was like, but how is this entity? What do you mean entity? Is it a person? Is it an alien? What color are they like us? And they couldn't answer anything. They said, no, it's not. We know. We just know it at CERN, and they cannot describe it, but they have it secondhand. It's not third, fourth. It's a very good friend who knows. And so I said, okay, I have to find something more because that's not enough. So I said, can you proof? And is there a proof that they bring, that they give something? There's some document. And they said this entity the second time took a scarf and left a scarf. I said, what type of scarf? And they don't know. They're not into the detail. They were really into the event and not the detail. And this entity left again.
Last math textbook before the Great Depression.
No way.
Yeah, I found it at an auction. It's like finding a gem.
Wow.
And you open this book, and the first chapter of this book talks about hiring your laborers, hiring your workers.
Wow.
And I could teach an entire, setting your professional fees for your men.
Okay.
Looking up facts.
Wow.
This was taught in school.
Yeah.
You can skip to anything. How to dispose of your crops, your excess inventory. How to get rid of your excess. Wow. I could teach an MBA level course out of a 7th grade math book.
Wow.
Now, this same 7th grade math book today, even in good Christian schools, would be that thick, and it would be hundreds of pages of repetition.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you to leave school and become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
They want you to leave school and become an employee.
And your employers definitely don't want you to leave and retire and become a millionaire, right? I mean, you have orientation before you start a job, and you set up your 401k, you set up your insurance. They don't tell you, hey, with this 401k, put whatever percent, 20% in there. But when you have it there, put it in an S&P, because when you're done, they don't do the math up here. If you don't, you're going to only have, if you're here 30 years, you're only going to have, let's say, 150,000. Now, if you put that same 20% in an S&P, right, it's going to turn it to, 3.4 million when you retire. 100,000, 3.4 million. They don't tell you these things. They don't tell you these. I don't know why. Like my lady didn't know about that. You know how long it took to she's been at that job over 20 years. She's been putting money in there, right? Just sitting in a savings account pretty much, getting probably like 2.53%. It took literally 5 minutes, not even, just to switch it from that fund to an S&P fund. And just like that, now she's making, it's up and down, but she's made money already, right? In just 2 weeks. They don't teach you these things. It's a
Everyone
shame.
knows Lincoln Park is the name of a military base in Canada where they experimented on and tortured children in the top secret government project known as MKUltra in the 1960s, allegedly. It's called RCAF Station Lincoln Park in Calgary, Alberta. Then you have Chester Bennington, lead singer of the band Lincoln Park, who himself suffered abuse as a child and was allegedly working on a documentary in 2017 called The Silent Children, exposing the elite's rings around the world, along with his good friend and lead singer of Audioslave, Chris Cornell, who was also heavily involved in the project and the investigations, and happened to tragically take his own life in May 2017. Exactly 2 months later, Chester takes his life in July 2017, while investigating his friend's death, both by apparent hand. Also involved in the Silent Children documentary was world-famous DJ Avicii, who took his own life less than a year later in April 2018, as well as celebrity chef and travel documentarian Anthony Bourdain, who, you guessed it, took his life just a few months later in June 2018. And if you search any of this up, it'll tell you it's just a conspiracy. The documentary never existed, and these tragic passings were all completely unrelated to each other. Well, isn't that something?
I mean, have you guys seen the movie? I think it's called Shooter with Mark Wahlberg. They show you how these alphabet boys, let's say, do these offings, right? They have like a mechanical arm that you can't control it, right? They have your arm in a mechanical like sleeve, and it has a gun on it, and it just puts your hand and you're fighting it, and it puts it right there, and then boom. But it's all a machine, y'all. It's all a machine on their arm. They show you in the movie Shooter, and they have it on a machine, then they remote control it to go like that, and boom. It's all they tell us in the movies. We know that.
Look at this, right? We got the World Ahead 2026 by The Economist, and they have posted a whole bunch of different graphics that seem to depict things that happen later on. We have all kinds of war stuff. There's like 4 quadrants to this. Someone did a whole breakdown. But look at what happens when you do this. So here's the image, and now let's mirror the image. And what do we get? The Masonic compass. And you may be thinking, well, this is a stretch because like you don't need to mirror stuff. But the mirroring represents the duality that these guys and these organizations, they do like the as above, so below thing. So this is part of the symbolism they're hiding in plain sight. Who's really pulling the strings here? We also have AI humanoid robots. We have those things. Voting booths, as if that does anything.
Cargo ships.
And there's a whole bunch of symbolism in here.
Nukes.
There's also a ton of pharmaceuticals. And there's also, what is that? Like birth control or something? And missiles. I mean, what does this tell you that they think the world ahead is going to be? Also, I will say it does look like Trump is slipping. So I wonder what that means. Oh, and look at this. Controller connected to a brain. Is this mind control?
A security guard at Banning High School took this picture of what he believes was a demonic figure that he claims had horns that were increasing in size, even corroborating what he saw with another teacher. Apparently, he had seen this figure for 3 days in a row.
For the first time in human history, there is no peanut butter in peanut butter cups.
A member of the Reese family is accusing Hershey of hurting the Reese's brand by shifting to cheaper ingredients in many products.
One cup hits you with a petrochemical that can't legally be called peanut butter. The filling doesn't start with peanuts. It's GMO sugar pumped with 5 separate oils, then chemically bleached. That slurry is laced with TBHQ, a preservative banned from peanut butter. So to get around it, they slapped peanut butter cream on the label, and suddenly it's legal. Exposure scanned less than 20% nut and a coating that isn't legally chocolate. Download Exposure to scan over 1,000 brand reports.
They did that also to Bruce Willis early on in his career. So I have heard. Okay. And I'll tell you a story about a producer friend, which I said this, I'm not going to mention his name. He's a B movie producer, but he was at a very famous actress's party. I've told this before, very famous. And like, it's in their house. So it's on the lawn. It's in the house. It's in, you know, I mean, the party's going on, right? And he took one of the young actors from one of his movies to the party. Halfway through the party, he's like, where's this dude? Like, where is the dude? The guy's about my age, the producer. And he's like, where's the guy I brought to the party, right? So he goes looking around the house. He goes upstairs. He barges in a bedroom. And the agent and somebody else have a camera. The guy is drugged. This producer's actor friend is drugged on the bed in a compromising position, and they're videoing it. So this guy did not know because he was drugged. The producer that told me the story went and grabbed the guy out of the room and lost a shit ton of work because of it. Okay? Because of it. So they do that. They did that also to Bruce Willis early on in his career. So I have heard. Okay? They drug you or they distract you. So if I'm looking over here and somebody's down here on my body by my feet doing whatever, but I'm making out with somebody over here and I'm in an orgy, not me personally. I'm not going to do that. I'm too OCD. But anyway, like I'm too perfectionistic. I'll be like, this is not right. Wrong angle. Stop right there. Anyway, so let's say I'm over here. I'm a dude and I'm making out with 3 girlies here. And they bring a young guy in here who's 10 or 11 years old and they have him go after the bottom half of my body and they film it. What am I going to do? That's on fucking film. See what I'm saying? So then they say, now you're going to do what we want you to do. Now you're going to do it the way we want you to do it. And you're going to shut up and we're going to pay you. Then we're going to give you an overall deal. You're going to do 5 movies. We're going to make you a fucking billionaire. And then we're going to do something to you so you can never spend that money. Keep that in mind.
A lot of rumors go round in Hollywood. These rumors could involve actor, producers, directors, or any big name in Hollywood. Many of these hearsays haven't been substantiated or proven in any way. What rumor have you heard involving any of Hollywood's big guys? Did you believe it?
I mean, is there anybody nowadays wanting to be the next movie star? Right? When you don't have to go through all that stuff, like you can, it's not easy, but you can create your own platform, right? Do you think there's still people that are thriving to be the next movie star when movies are doing what they're doing and knowing what's going on in Hollywood? Or is all that nonsense that goes on in Hollywood is it switching over to the social media realm now? Now that stuff's going on. That could be.
You're gonna have to pay that price. Is the sacrificing animals and shit real too? That really, that's just real. Blood is spiritual currency.
I don't.
That shit really go like that though. Like
You been killing animals before?
Yeah, goats, all that. Cause I remember I watched the Drink Champ shit.
I did it all.
And Nori asked you like how you. I forgot what he asked you, like how you beat the something. And you was like, yo,
sacrifice.
I had to sacrifice them.
Yeah,
that's real.
Yeah, turtle tongue, all kind of shit, bro. Yes,
yes, nigga. That's how. That's like when I didn't know better. Even though God was in charge this whole time, he let me run with what I was running with and let me feel like that was power. That was, you know what I'm saying? Until I realized like he's the only power I need, bro. He's the Almighty. He's running all that, bro. All that shit runs when you say his name. And cause at the time I was fighting an armed robbery charge. So I was saying to myself, I need something harder, stronger than prayer. I didn't know. I need something. I need to get down in that dark and dirty world, bro. I need because this is some real shit. So I did that. You know what I'm saying?
That's why they say slogans like "Our secret ingredients are people." Why do they call it kids meal?
Yeah,
might be speculation. I'm just
you could go.
Call it kids meal?
You can go into the actual mascot of McDonald's, the clown.
It's the clown. Okay, so if you guys haven't read the book,
McDonald? What did he do?
So, audience, you got to read this book by Paul Stobbs. It's called The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns, and he basically goes into the origin of demons.
First pages, there was a pentagram with various illustrations inside of it, notes around it. I'm going to show you that now. We just took a picture for it for you to see it.
Oh my God.
There at the bottom. And in case you can't see
shit.
what is pointing to the middle, it says
prince.
Place of sacrifice or worship. Right? Place of sacrifice or worship in the middle there. But I want you to note that in this Freemason Bible, it illustrates that a sacrifice must be made in the center of a pentagon.
And Charlie Kirk was in the center. Charlie Kirk was sacrificed by the Freemasons.
The pentagon, 5 sides, like a house. And I thought, how curious that Charlie was indeed seated in the center of a pentagon when he was killed. Let me demonstrate that for you. You can see that right.
Holy shit. Oh my fucking God. Look at this. Look at this. No. You guys might not be putting it together. No. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Oh my God.
Pizza night and all like that. Just throw some baby oil in there. Pastor, it ain't nothing sinful about throw some baby oil in there. I'm telling you, baby oil it just go with everything. You can get baby oil on pizza. I done got it on pizza before.
I don't think people realise how wild this actually is. We all remember the memes, but look at the date. 2015. Over 10 years ago, this was family television. This is Dixie.
And remember, I'm a pastor's wife.
Telling Steve her secret for pizza night. Why is oil and pizza always in the same sentence with these people? Oh wait, we already know. And look at Steve. He's the self-proclaimed specialist when it comes to the product. Is this just a harmless joke from over 10 years ago? Or was the code always hidden in plain sight? I'm starting to think that pizza night wasn't just about food.
What they do, and they can do this during an abduction, during a near-death experience, all kinds of other things. Here's how they do it during an abduction. A man will be taken on board a ship during an abduction. His body will be put into a coma. They will slowly bring the body to death. At the moment it achieves death, the soul exits. You follow? When the soul exits, using technology, they will replace this soul with another and they will bring the body back. They can do this in 4 seconds using technology. He gets up, there's another soul in there. It looks like Batman, but it isn't Batman anymore. It's somebody else who has a completely different agenda. Now, if you're an ET, a negative ET, in order to manipulate third density, you have to be in third density. And this is how they're doing it. This is how they're doing it, along with, their craft and all the other things. But some choose to be in human form. The Orion, this is Orion technology.
The organic label is a marketing tool. It is something that I think consumers want. It is not a statement by the government about food safety.
So, guys, this is a really great question right here, and I wanted to address it. Those of you who don't know, it's not your fault. You're not a farmer, so you wouldn't know this. But people who farm and work with produce, such as myself and others, we know this. So that's why I never said in the video, you need to do organic. Organic is a bit of a myth. And let me tell you why. Years ago, I used to farm on a papaya orchard in Hawaii. And we raised organic, non-GMO, real produce papaya on that farm. So what happened was about 10 miles down from our farm, Monsanto Corporation purchased a papaya orchard. And on their papaya orchard, they were growing non-organic, genetically modified hybrid papaya. So during the harvest season, when we would certify our papaya as organic, something very strange happened. We started to get in our farm, some of our produce was showing up non-organic and hybrid. And the reason why is because even though that Monsanto farm was 10 miles away from our organic farm, the seeds were blowing downwind and cross-pollinating our papaya. Okay? And this happens all the time. That's why if you have an organic farm or orchard and you're near Monsanto or another farm that's doing hybrid, you have to protect your trees. There's no way you can stop it. There's really no way you can do it. Either the wind's going to blow that genetically modified hybrid pollen down to your organic farm, or the birds and other animals are going to carry that contaminated pollen to your orchard. And so that's why I tell everybody, organic isn't always the best thing. You want to try to do organic if you can really get organic. And I'm telling you guys, no one's talking about this. This is something that farmers know. This is something that people who really work with plants will know. This is something that no one really wants to talk about because it's going to hurt profits. It's going to destroy the farming industry and the organic industry. And so they don't want people like me and others sharing this information with you because it blows the whole scam of organic. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's why on my video, I did not say or recommend just do organic, because in the times that we are in now, it's very difficult to get a full crop that's organic now. It's very difficult to do. You have to put up a lot of contingencies to keep your produce organic, and it's very expensive. So I hope that answered your question. Please send more questions. Like and follow this channel. I got more information for you. Like and follow, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Average American on the average day going about his or her normal business commits 3 felonies every day. You may not mean to, but you do every day. So if they decide they want you, they don't like your politics, they can get your metadata. They can go through that metadata, find crimes that they can charge you with, and ruin your life. And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself.
To some extent, they did that to you.
Yeah, they did. Nothing is secret. Nothing. And to make matters worse, let's say maybe you did do something that law enforcement might be interested in. They don't need a warrant anymore. They don't need to go to a judge and say, well, we have reason to believe, blah, blah, blah. All they have to do is just buy your metadata because it's for sale. Just go to the carrier. Just buy it. They don't need a judge's order to do that. It's all out there. We've made ourselves vulnerable. All of our lives are out there, whether it's on Facebook or X or Insta.
But we want to.
I mean, do these things still happen? Like, I remember at my first house I grew up at, something was there, y'all. Like, we used to have random people knock on our windows, hop our fence. Or my dad would chase people out the back because we lived on an alley. Like, someone would hop the fence. I remember when I was little, he'd run and hop the fence and go down the alley and run down the hallway in the middle of the night. Like, I never asked him, like, why, what happened? I was little, you know what I mean? And I would just hear him, loud steps going down the hallway. And who knows if it was even him thinking about it now, because I just thought it was him, you know what I mean? But, I remember one time my sister got a prank call at that house, and it was my dad, like, yelling, like, arguing with somebody, but it wasn't him. Like, we called him and he's like, I'm at work. Like, what are you talking about? Like, crazy things like that. I remember old people coming to our house when we were getting babysitted, like scary old ladies. Like, do these things still happen? Because I remember that vividly as a kid, like those types of things happening. I don't know if it was just that house, because when we moved out, those things stopped. No one knocked on our window. Now, we weren't in the best neighborhood. No one knocked on our window. No one hopped our fence. No running down the hallway in the middle of the night. Like, those things stopped. So I don't know if it was just that house or what, but I remember that when I was a little kid.
Now that some things you're about to see and hear might be too graphic for children.
Well, Terry, authorities tell us that the most serious or perhaps the most dangerous kind of devil worship comes in the form of underground cults. Most of them are very secretive, usually organizing clandestine rituals in the dark of night.
Guys, what she's talking about here is the McMartin preschool incident. If you don't know about that, I fully suggest you go and look into that. And all I'm going to say on that is, how can hundreds of children all have similar accounts and collections? I'll leave that one for you to look into. What I want to say is, this is a very old video clip. And with everything that's coming out recently, it is just, if not more, relevant than ever. And it proves as another example of how long this stuff has been going on. Realistically, since the start of civilization, from the Old Testament. And as I always say, we need to stay vigilant because demons walk amongst us.
What do you think the planets are? They're lights? Is it like it's not like dirt or like
no?
It's the planets aren't like Mars isn't like dirt.
No, not at all.
So they're not landing. So they're not landing Mars rovers on Mars, right?
Not at all.
Okay,
not at all.
What are they doing? It's fake.
Well, it's what they're doing is they're going to places like Greenland with very, very exotic landscape, and they're making it look like it, and then they're coloring it to look red and what have you. Wikipedia, if you go to Wikipedia, which Greenland. I'm in now, and you look up under Saturn, in the first sentence it will tell you that Saturn is a gas giant. And then you go to Jupiter, and it tells you that Jupiter is a gas giant. Yeah. Then you ask what the sun is, they say it's hydrogen and helium. Well, that's gas. Why is Venus or Mars or the moon, where they landed, why is it an exception? You can see with your own eyes that it's a light. Ptolemy, for thousands of years before the Jesuit Copernicus turned up and made a spinning ball, was saying all of the 7 planets are entirely luminous. There it is. They are portals. They are holes in the sky. The great Italian genius Pierluigi Gina, who was a colleague of Marconi, the inventor of the radio, thank you very much, these two geniuses, he studied the sun and energy, and he's a stationary earther. He's insisted, up until the day he died, 2004, you see him on YouTube, little Italian man saying, "La terra è ferma." He says, me and Marconi discovered that the earth is stationary. It doesn't move. And then he takes you into his laboratory and shows you with strobe lights how you can prove quite easily that the earth does not move.
Well, here we go.
Well,
We're in it.
He said the stars are holes in the sky. So that got me thinking. The Greeks said that the stars are like nailed onto the firmament. The Babylonians says that the stars are glued onto like an aerogel sort of floating in space chandelier type thing where all the stars and the 7 planets are going around on the ecliptic. And they said that's like a chandelier and they're pinned to it. They're holes in the sky. They are holy holes. Hallowed. That's why the word holy, you look at the word holy, you can be a hole or you can be whole. That's what holy means, to be whole, to be sane. Sano in Latin means to be whole. Insane means to be not whole. You're not whole. So someone you say, oh, he's insane, means he's not complete.
That big test they did where they bombed the moon and it rang like a bell for a few hours.
That's literally a fact. I think it was Apollo 11 was viewing that it might be sort of, somewhat hollow.
Right.
And then Apollo 12 crashing the booster. They put seismometers there and they were like, it rang like a bell. And then you have Gordon McDonald, who is Eisenhower's chief space advisor, saying the only way in which the moon makes sense is if it's somewhat hollow and cavernous.
Right.
Which is trippy.
You wonder, is the moon brought here?
Yeah, was it geoengineered? Why is it tidal locked and we never see the dark side? You have Neil Armstrong's second expedition is in 1975 to this Teos cave, where this library of alien metallic artifacts, and there's this cave system at the edge of the Amazon in Ecuador. And Neil Armstrong brings a BBC film crew to go look into, this thing. And it's like, you have enough conviction that there could be a there that you want to look into this. Why would you ever do that if you didn't have some conviction, maybe from prior experience?
Doctors, PhDs, people who had everything to lose come on this documentary and walked away the day they fired that Hadron Collider up, saying that as it spun faster and faster and it come past them, they would hear people screaming.
Yeah.
And hear people saying, help me, get me out of here. I'm burning. I'm tortured. I mean, just gruesome things. And they were afraid that they opened a portal or opened something up to let something out, essentially is what they were afraid of. And those doctors and scientists walked out of there and said, I'm done. If you go, interestingly enough, and look up the, what's it called whenever you have opening ceremonies?
So the theory is that these old people, these old celebrities are never truly dying. They're just getting into another body. Very like vampire-esque if you really think about it. But yes, I do think that in a way, consciousness swiping could exist. Now, are we talking about the soul that inhabits the body that was given to us by Christ? No, but I do believe that they have found a way through AI to store consciousness up into the point of being able to put it in certain people. But I also believe it's only achievable through AI. I believe that soul swapping is only achievable through technology.
Eruptions and may be the result of a half-kilometer or kilometer-wide object plunging into the ocean that's moving 20 miles per hour.
Writers, producers, to depict things, that take things out of movies or put into movies. So they use media, movies, music, and we'll touch on, what's going on with, the podcast sector and all that, because all that has been infiltrated by the FBI and CIA for sure.
I'm saying. The thing on gun control, I live in Mexico. Gun control strictly followed there. You cannot have a gun. They have 20,000 gun murders a year down there or more, and yet guns are banned. You cannot own a gun in Mexico. Strict gun control. And yet there's more murders by guns down there than there are here.
It sucks, right? For the everyday hardworking person, it's not allowed to have one to protect themselves with all that going on. I think there's, if I'm not mistaken, there's only one gun shop in the whole country of Mexico, and it's in Mexico City, in their capital. Like, how much of a shame is that? You're not allowed to have a weapon to protect your family with all that going on. These guys, we've heard stories where they can just come in and say, we're taking your daughter to a party. They got these. If you don't let us, you guys are all off. We're taking her to a party. We'll bring her back. And they don't even bring them back. Right? Never seen again. And you can't even protect your family. You got a knife or a machete going against an AK-47. That's a corrupt government over there, y'all.
You have to be careful when you buy stuff from the thrift store, because
At least
you
you get
don't
scared
know
about this.
where those items have been, who owned them, what they were used for, and sometimes you can bring something home with you. Now, there was this girl named Rebecca. Rebecca was from Burbank, California. One day, she sees this thrift store, and she goes in the door, and over in the corner, she notices this beautiful old canopy bed. And instantly, she says, I have to have this bed. So she buys it, and she brings it home. Well, that night, she goes to bed in this new bed that she just bought. And as she's sleeping, she begins to have this dream. And in this dream, she sees this man in a flannel shirt and jeans, and these boots and this big, thick, gray beard. And this man begins to grab her by the arms, and he begins to scratch her and basically thrash her against the bed. And eventually she wakes up, terrified, and she feels pain. When she goes to the mirror, she notices she has these bruises and scratches all over her body. Well, the next night, this happens again. And the next night, and the next night. And then one night, she's too terrified to go to sleep. She's worried she's going to have these nightmares. But all of a sudden, as she's laying in bed, she begins to be lifted off her bed. She's hovering about 3 feet over the top of this canopy bed. And something is lifting her up. She couldn't move, she couldn't talk. This lasted for about 30 seconds. And then, plop, she falls onto the bed. And it was so loud that it wakes her daughter, who comes running in the bedroom. It's like, what's wrong, Mom? And she says, nothing, honey, just go back to bed. So this keeps happening night after night. And then she has to go out of town. So she asks her friend to watch her house. Her friend comes over, and she stays there for a couple days. Well, Rebecca decides to give her a call, ask her how things are going. And that's when her friend, starts crying on the phone. And Rebecca could tell that something was bothering her. So she goes, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? She goes, well, I slept in your bed. And I woke in the middle of the night to this old man standing at the foot of the bed. And I know he was there. I seen him. Like, I'm freaked out. And when she describes this man, it is the exact man that Rebecca had seen in her dreams. So immediately she knew that something was wrong with this bed. So when she gets back from out of town, she takes the bed and she goes back to the thrift store. And she goes inside and she tells the manager, I don't want this bed. You can have it. Like, there's something wrong with it. And she said the manager just kind of looked at her and was like, it's crazy that you brought this bed back, because not even a couple weeks ago, before you bought this bed was brought back to us. We had sold it the first time. And the lady who bought it said that she didn't want it because there was something wrong with it. And so Rebecca's like, well, how did you guys get this bed?
Burn that damn bed.
It was this estate of this old man who passed away, and this was his bed and one of the items that was given to the thrift store. And so immediately Rebecca felt like that must have been the old man that I was seeing in my dreams.
What other things about our moon are exclusive?
These craters don't make any sense. And the basin of them seems like it's revealing a shell of some kind. Then there's the impact tests, the Apollo 12 and Apollo 13, where the moon on a seismograph registered like a hollow object. And by the way, there's no moon that's a hollow object. Back before Carl Sagan became such a skeptic, he even commented on this and said that it's terrifying because no natural satellite is hollow. One of the other things that they noted with these impact tests was that the moon, it seemed to compensate and correct for the impact in a way that suggested there were oscillators inside the structure. I think probably there's machinery inside this thing.
When I went to Africa, I seen shit that I really couldn't explain.
Right.
And I went to a place called Embu. Now in Embu, they got a community where everybody in the community is 80 plus years old. I seen an 80 plus year old woman climb a tree, put a machete, cut down a coconut, and jump down. Now, I'm out there fighting for my life, trying to move through the terrain crazy. I'm slipping and falling. And they, come on, we want you to come down to the river. I'm like, man, y'all not big enough to pick me up and drag me if I fall down there.
Right.
So, I'm a pass on that.
Right.
But when I watch these ladies, these men, they in their 90s.
Right.
And my driver said, it's because they eat everything natural. Like, they got plants out there that if you touch it, it shrivel up. And when you walk away, it open back up. It's like, damn, they got respect for the land.
Update on Carl Grillmeyer, the Caltech astrophysicist that was murdered just hours after President Trump told the government to release the alien files. Turns out that he also went to Caltech for graduate school, the same place that Bob Lazar said that he went to graduate school. And what do you know? They're the same age. They're both 67, so they would have gone to school together. It's also important to note that NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory is at Caltech. And don't forget, in 1989, Bob Lazar claimed that he worked at Area 51, where he was using an unknown element, element 115, to fuel jet propulsion. They called him crazy because there was no such thing as element 115, of course, until 15 years later when it was discovered in 2004. I just have to wonder if these two were friends. And what could Carl have possibly known? And why was he murdered? I'd love to ask him, but as Bill Gates would say,
well, he's dead, so, in general, you always have to be careful.
So there's that. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
This is off the coast of Peru here. This here that you're seeing is a bunch of Chinese boats. So what they do is they go within 100 miles of other countries just outside of the economic exclusion zone. They turn off their transponder. They go into their territorial waters, fish the crap out of it, and leave. And these guys don't fish like with a rod and a reel. They fish in a way where they electrocute the water, kill everything in the ocean, and then when it floats up, they just scoop it up. Even the fish that are not edible, they just zap everything and kill everything. Yeah, these guys are parasites, man.
Try to explain this. In Thailand, there are 3 giant stones known as Hing San Wan, the famous 3-whale rock. They are about 75 million years old. They are 3 enormous masses of stone, aligned with impressive precision, rising in the middle of the jungle, as if something gigantic had been trapped there millions of years ago. Science says they are simply natural formations, shaped by erosion. But when viewed from above, the 3 rocks point in the same direction, exactly the same formation a family of whales makes in the ocean: the father, the mother, and the calf. However, the strangest part lies in their shape. Their surfaces are incredibly smooth, with almost perfectly gentle curves, as if they had been intentionally sculpted. Local residents claim they are not just stones. They say they are spirits of the ocean, trapped on land millions of years ago. And there is an even more bizarre theory. It says those rocks were actually whales that, after the waters of an ancient flood receded, became stuck in the mud and over time were petrified. But the most unsettling part is that this would not be an isolated case. Around the world, there are other mountains and formations that look exactly like giant animals turned into stone. So tell me, do you think they are just rocks shaped by nature, or prehistoric creatures petrified millions of years ago?
No, I tell you guys, when you're driving to Sedona from Phoenix down the I-17, it's probably after you get out of Anthem. If you're heading north and you look on the right, there's a giant mountain that looks like it's an Indian, like laying on his back. Like you just see its head, like an Indian's head. And I haven't been back in a while. I don't know when I'm gonna go back, but I told you guys next time I go, I'll make a video on here and put it on here. I put it on a long time ago, y'all. Like last year, sometime on one of the videos, I made a video on it. But I'll be sure to go. But if anyone's been, I'm sure you guys have been to Sedona driving up north on the I-17. Let me know if you've seen that Indian head. I remember my dad showed me that when I was little.
And think to yourself, what fucking timeline are we even in anymore with this shot right here coming out of the White House? We already know that the tech oligarchs are steering the ship. You don't have to put this big neon sign up at the White House and have it flashing. Even if you don't want to accept it, we have quietly accepted that tech companies have their hands on everything. The data, the platforms, the infrastructure. That wasn't the shocking part, because we know it's happening. The strange part about all of this is how it stopped being subtle. It used to be something that happened behind layers of glass and NDAs and offices that we didn't have any access to. But now we're at the point where it just looks like it's happening center stage with a spotlight, and we're supposed to just clap along while the curtain comes up. I already hear people in the comments when I bring up videos about Skynet and the tech oligarchs taking over, and it's just me being crazy. And that's fine, you can think about it that way, but we all joked about things like Skynet growing up. And you can have the opinions you want to have, and I can have the opinions I want to have, but this shit isn't going to go good. It may not be T-1000s becoming self-aware with their AI, but it's going to be creepy dudes at Palantir finally just taking over everything. Well, they're already taking over everything, just making it more public.
They create chaos, and they create control. Over the world headquarters in Switzerland of the World Masonic Headquarters for World Freemasonry, over the door is Ordo ab Chaos, which is Latin for order out of chaos. And all Freemasons know that term, Ordo ab Chaos. Order out of chaos. The concept is to create chaos, to create the problems. Then while the people are frightened to death of all the crime
working to a T
that
now,
seems
right?
to be out of control, a riotous situation, the government then moves in with justification. In order to put down this terrible chaos, they must have full power of the military, full obedience of the people to give the government full power to do whatever they want. That's why we're having all over the world wars, riots, bloodshed, famines, all kinds of things happening around the world. It's being manipulated. It's being orchestrated, not just for Los Angeles. It's conflict control. Conflict control. There's been more wars since the creation of the United Nations.
And what's really crazy is they still use the same playbook today. The world is in chaos, and I'm sure they're going to
keep us in control,
like they're the savior and return everything back to normal when they're the ones that started it in the first place. We see the games.
light as a feather, stiff as a board. Have you ever played this?
And like lift them up,
and you
right?
lift them up.
Yeah, I've seen this.
And you're like, well, that's
It works.
impossible.
Yeah,
It works.
I've seen it work.
I'm barely lifting, and yet we just lifted this person over our heads.
Yeah.
Everybody contributes a little bit in a way that you feel like we just lifted a 120-pound person, and yet it feels like I'm barely lifting a book.
There's strong evidence that Amelia Earhart survived her crash and was eaten by coconut crabs. Before we get too far, this is a coconut crab. So the island you're seeing here is Nikki Memorial Island, which is the island that she most likely ended up on. So decades later, when they searched this island, they found a woman's shoe from 1930s, her specific freckle cream, and then they found 13 human bones near a tree. Now, obviously, we have over 200 bones in the human body, so why would there only be 13? That's where the coconut crabs theory comes in. These things get over 3 foot wide, they have a pinch stronger than a lion's bite, and they're called robber crabs because they come out and then they drag stuff far into these deep, dark burrows. They've been seen killing large birds, kittens, and even dog skulls and dragging them away. So to test this theory, scientists put a pig carcass on the island, and in just 2 weeks, it was completely stripped away of any flesh, and the bones were dragged 60 foot away. So imagine how terrifying it would be for Amelia if she survived the crash to be on this island, and then at night, all these crabs start scurrying towards you, getting closer and closer, and you have no idea what it is because it's nighttime outside. Multiple women reported hearing Amelia's cries for help, her saying things like, "Still alive, better hurry, tell husband all right, we have taken in water, my navigator is badly hurt, we are in need of medical care and must have help, we can't hold on much longer." But those reports weren't taken seriously. These claims were just considered hoax or bogus at the time. Modern researchers have analyzed at least 120 of these reports and labeled 57 of them as credible, making it very likely that she survived her crash, she was on the island, and these crabs overtook her, she was injured, whatever, and then they took her body.
Ooh, all right, family. Hope you guys enjoyed that. You know what to do if you made it this far. If you're watching this, right? Today is Saturday, the 28th. If you're watching this, what is it? April 3rd, right? I'm making my videos a little early. The baby is going to be here on the 2nd. They had to move up the the pregnancy, so we're doing it April 2nd. So yeah, if you're watching this, I'm gonna bang out Friday's video, I'm gonna bang out Sunday's video, and then on Monday I'll be back doing regular uploads. But and as you know by now, if you haven't, I'm switching to an upload schedule, y'all. We're gonna start posting Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I've been doing a lot of research, watching a lot of videos, and I'm seeing that maybe posting too much can actually be hindering your channel. Right, because you don't give Monday, you do a Monday video is doing good, but then you do a Tuesday video and it kills Monday and it takes Tuesday on. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna try it out for a little while, see how we do, and hopefully we start growing a little more, because it's a lot of ups and downs for a while with my YouTube. I'll have a number 1 performing video, and the next one will be number 10. Then I'll have a number 2, then I'll have a number 8. Very inconsistent. So I'm trying some new things out, figuring out the YouTube game that I'm still learning every day, y'all. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm gonna see you guys on the next one, which will be on Monday, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Later.